BlizzCon is only 1 week away, but as it turns out, some have already written off what's next for WoW based on screenshots that might not even be real. Hey, it's Soul, and welcome to Warcraft Weekly, your personal roller coaster of emotion. Please hit the like button, subscribe for more WoW coverage, catch me live on Twitch, and let's have a chat. Just around the corner is WoW season. A lot's about to happen in a barrage of news and updates and more, so let's go over it. The days leading up to BlizzCon next week are going to be full of landmines with fake and maybe legitimate leaks to inform, to confuse, but mostly entertain us. And by the end of the week, fans from around the world are going to gather at BlizzCon, a super spreader of copium. Fellow creators on the ground are going to be scurrying around, meeting and greeting. The real creators are going to be producing and scooping all the clicks, and you viewers are going to feast. The actual schedule for BlizzCon just came out, and we're going to react to that in just a bit. But the week after, between BlizzCon and WoW reactions and the meme building, is going to be patch 10.2, so there's like no rest. And the week after, this is going to be season 3. That's going to begin with raids and dungeons and PvP stuff and the race to world first. And also that week, WoW's 19th anniversary event is going to begin. And just a couple days after that, there's the Thanksgiving event. And odds are reasonably good that before the end of the month, patch 10.2.5 is going to hit the PTR, now that we started seeing it in encrypted builds. So this is kind of a lot. And I haven't even mentioned the absolutely stacked year that we've been having with awesome games that folks have been pumping out. For 2023, gaming has been absolutely amazing and almost unaffordable, but still pretty amazing. Okay, so let's talk about all the BlizzCon information that we're just learning about today as of this writing, and some of it's new for me too. We're going to start off with the broadcast schedule, and I want to emphasize that this is the broadcast schedule as in what's going to happen live, as in what you're going to see on your screens over on YouTube and or Twitch. So Friday, November 3rd at 11 o'clock Pacific, we get opening ceremonies. There's a bit of a time gap, and then the WoW What's Next panel, where we learn about all the new stuff, most likely new expansion, the rest of the Dragonflight release schedule, maybe a new roadmap, and definitely something to make us whip out our phones and tempt us to give them our money. The rest of the day is going to be lined up with more reveals for Overwatch, WoW Classic, Hearthstone, and Warcraft Rumble. And then on the 4th, we kick it off with the WoW Deep Dive and maybe get into new expansion systems, changes, visuals, and more. A little bit more Overwatch 2 afterwards, some Diablo coverage, which is kind of curious that there's only one panel. Maybe it'll be extra long since Overwatch and WoW, they got 2 panels each. Then there's the Community Night, and Lay Seraphim is going to make an appearance. I'm not sure if it's going to be like a full-on closing ceremony either. Maybe just 1 or 2 songs before they dip, we'll just have to see. I'm not too pleased that the, again, broadcast schedule is kind of light, and this is because there's only going to be one stage for these events here taking place in the BlizzCon arena. My hopes, and that's all they are, they're just hopes, is that throughout this super immersive experience, there's going to be small, not live panels going on throughout BlizzCon for attendees to enjoy, and later they're going to get thrown into a VOD and given to you folks at home later. I haven't heard anything about this yet, but we could learn more in the days leading up. To be fair, that's not all. The main Blizzard channels aren't the only things that are streaming BlizzCon stuff. There are going to be Overwatch tournaments going on in separate channels, and there's also a schedule of streamers who are going to be on the floor reacting and playtesting. I'm going to throw the schedule up right here, and dude, check out who's at the top of the list. SoulSoBreezy! Yes, I shall be streaming during opening ceremonies, meaning I'm not going to be sitting with the crowd, but I will be located in some sort of box on the convention floor, alongside a bunch of other big streamers, and working out my feelings of imposter syndrome. I will likely be co-streaming the ceremonies, screaming alongside you folks, and playtesting. It's gonna be good. The featured streamers are gonna be rotating throughout the day, so I encourage you to channel surf. Like, don't be shy about bouncing around between the main channel, the tournament stuff, and the streamer channels, and hey, you can count on me if you need some of that, you know, low energy. One of BlizzCon's biggest and most traditional events is a no-show this year. One iconic item that's missing from here is the infamous WoW Q&A.
Okay, so in the future, are you guys ever going to make BOA items actually
BattleNet wide?
go across servers? Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't catch the last part.
The awkward dance, where fans give shoutouts to their guilds before asking questions that we already know the answers to, where devs practice their agility and are dodging every question that they can. It's the good, the bad, and the ugly, but it's not happening this year. Instead, during the con, the lines are going to be opened up from forums to social media to take people's questions, and then they're going to be answered in a WoWcast to be done shortly after. Now, I get why they're doing it. It's logistically kind of weird to do it in a round arena-like stage, and hey, no offense, sometimes the questions get sort of cringe.
My question is, do you guys hate enhancement shamans? They're always suboptimal. They're barely relevant in PvP, especially in arena and 2v2. DPS is always suboptimal. Are you going to do anything to fix that?
I think we should answer the Illidan question.
Sometimes the answers get kind of cringe. But to have a more or less scripted WoWcast instead, I kind of got mixed feelings about it. Like, there's a certain charm to the jankiness that is the live Q&A. It can be memorable, it can be viral, maybe even regrettable.
We got a question submitted by Dizdick. Brian, this is for you. Will summoning stones be available at launch in the Burning Crusade, or are those going to come later?
And it's going to be washed over with something that's probably going to be more informative, but also a bit safe. Will a brand new game be introduced at BlizzCon? Because something else is missing from this schedule here, and it might be 2 events. So let's speculate for a bit. On the 3rd, opening ceremonies start at 11 a.m., and the first panel afterwards is the What's Next panel for WoW. 2.5 hours later. Historically, the opening ceremony ends after only about an hour, and a half hour later is the very first panel, so, there's a little bit of time for people to clear out or come in. I'm gonna guess that panels are gonna be roughly 45 to 50 minutes long, with 10 or 15 minutes for the guests and audiences to move around. Now, with that in mind, after the 1-hour opening ceremony, something could happen from 12:30 to 1:15, and then 15 minutes later, the WoW panel. Now let's take a look at the 4th, with a panel at 2:30 and maybe ends at around 3:15. There could be a mystery panel at 3:30 that ends at 4:15, and then there will be like a little bit of extra time for the preparation of the community night. But maybe I'm wrong. Opening ceremony might just be that much longer. The Diablo 4 panel could be the What's Next and the Deep Dive all in one. Other events that are happening elsewhere might be featured here in the arena for viewing during these hours. So there are perfectly reasonable ways to explain this, but I prefer the more fun outcome. Might there be a brand new game to showcase at BlizzCon? Will the unannounced survival game not just be announced, but be playable on the floor? We'll find out soon. Earlier this week, a more convincing leak popped up that got a lot of people's attention. I talked about it earlier live on stream, but now I want to break this down a little bit more, and this is mostly thanks to a Twitter user by the name of Zell, who did their best to identify every instance where it appears that assets were reused and manipulated to make these screenshots that at first glance look really impressive. It's a common poke of the WoW team whenever they reuse assets like skeleton models, something recycled content. However, Zell makes a strong case of these images taking assets from different eras of WoW altogether to create something that's like a different vibe entirely. The point that Zell's trying to make is that the actual feature videos, the real ones, they put their best foot forward, showcasing almost entirely new environments and models and doodads and more that leave no question if this is new or recycled stuff. It's thrust in front of your face, it looks unique, it gives the zones a very strong identity, and the alleged leaks here, they don't really unleash that same energy. So it's no wonder that some who believe this leak to be real are feeling underwhelmed, like this, seems kind of bland. It doesn't look like anything new, because from these breakdowns, apparently not. They're not new. There is no iconic landmark that gives the zone a sense of character. Yeah, but I'm all the way back here. But again, I admit, these look pretty good. It's either really good Photoshop, or maybe manipulations were done in a private sandbox and it's built like a diorama, or it's real. And there's one more thing to mention that I don't really think I've heard from anyone else. If these screenshots are from a features video, where's the video? If they do have the whole thing, why not just release all of it? And if they only had access to these screenshots and not the video, why is that? That's going to be the show, and as I closed out Season 2 of Dragonflight, I took my guild through what's going to be one of our last rounds through Aberrus with 0 healers. Instead, I instructed everyone to use the trusty Onyx Amulet, turning everyone into a crappy raid healer and the tanks into desperate tank healers. And you know what? It mostly worked out. Down they went, one boss after another, with only slight tweaks to the strategy, notably to avoid standing in fire and to actually use personal cooldowns. A few extra DPS more than made up for a ring slot per person and a handful of healers. We got all the way up to Sarkrath before his overwhelming phase 1, it just became too much for our healing to handle. Now I do bet with some practice we'd get even farther, and then we'd have to contend with like having no dispels because there's no priest in our group and we have to deal with the duress stuff. I'm pointing this out as an example of how I keep my guild entertained after so many months after doing, the same raid. This game, World of Warcraft, is both what is given to us by the WoW team, and also what we make out of it. Whether you want to roleplay, or do transmog or duel contests, if you want to collect things to show off in your garrison, or solo content that normally couldn't be, or be a cross-region seller of rare items, or, raiding without healers. It's just a reminder that once you've finished your regular routine, there might be a couple more things you can do. A quick thanks to our friends over on Twitch and Patreon for supporting me these past years. Your contributions really do mean something. They're sending me to BlizzCon so I can bring a slice of it home to you. Videos from me are going to be a little bit light next week, and then, off we go to Anaheim. I hope you'll join me for the fun, the reactions, and more, so please subscribe to the channel, like the video, of course, catch me live, and I'll catch you later. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.